very impressive indeed. On the runway from Luftwaffe or Air Transport Wing 62 of the German Air Force at Wunstorf is an aeroplane very familiar in these parts due to the presence of so many of them as part of the RIAT air mobility fleet over at Strides North. And what we're going to see is an impressive tactical display of some of this imposing aeroplane quality. On the roll, it's the Airbus A400M. What was called a max effort takeoff, which is accelerating to beyond the rotate speed and then accelerating a further 30 knots before lifting the nose wheel off into a max performance climb. Very useful, of course, when operating from airfields in what are known as contested environments where ground fire might be a risk. Yeah, absolutely. Another example of what is not just airshow flying, but a tactical demonstration, and in this instance, protection of the aircraft from ground fire in contested areas. 1100 staff horsepower Eurocrop International CT400 turboprop engines. This aircraft was first flew towards the tail end of 2009, and of which a current 178 examples have so far been ordered, and Germany is the largest customer with 53 of them. So we've got the undercarriage extended now, 14 wheels and tyres, optimised to allow the aircraft to operate from unprepared, stripped and high weight. The A400 is sized between the C-130 Hercules and the Boeing C-17 Globemaster. However, it can carry significantly heavier loads than the C-130 and can use rough landings, as we've seen here with the very vast array of tyres, low pressure tyres on the undercarriage. In addition to its transport capabilities, the A400M can perform air-to-air refueling and medical evacuation when fitted with the appropriate equipment. The arrival of the A400M in Luftwaffe service enabled it to retire the twin-turboprop Franco-German Transall C-160 by the end of 2021, and they're now augmented in service by C-130J Hercules of a Franco-German binational air transport squadron at Évreux in France, one of which we've got here for the first time in the static part. Now accelerating in for a pass designed to simulate a visual check of a simulated drop zone at a speed up to 285 knots. The A400 has the ability to carry a 30-ton payload over 2,500 nautical miles for both established and remote civilian and military aircraft, all by landing on short, unprepared and semi-prepared strips. The aircraft is also capable of operating at high levels, at altitudes up to 40,000 feet, which underpins its enormous range. The A400M can also carry 116 passengers, or 9 aircraft carriers with 54 passengers, or 66 stretchers, with a maximum payload of 37 tons. Reaching a maximum bank angle somewhere in the region of 60 or so degrees during this display, it can attain a maximum of 120 degrees, which we've seen demonstrated by Airbus test pilots in the past. We have. I think we might see anti-tanks up to that 9 towards the end of this display. Very spirited from the aircraft of that time. The Luftwaffe first used its A400M in a combat theatre in July 2018 when they carried out a troop lift from the base for the entire fleet at Wunstorf to to Mazar-e-Sharif in Afghanistan, and also Germany is the first user of this type to declare it operational in the air-to-air refueling role, because the A400M can also act as a tanker. Now, hopefully, we're going to see the aircraft establishing itself in a typical airdrop configuration on the next pass, with the rear cargo ramp open and the door, slowing the aircraft to around 150 knots.
Yeah, no, not big end. Well, a little bit. Yeah, well, you know, because you've been in touch with
As a hugely capable aircraft, it was a natural successor for countries and air arms that operated the C-130 Hercules. Now operated by Belgium, France, Luxembourg, Germany, Spain, Turkey, UK, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, and from next year, Indonesia. Well, the aircraft are entirely cleaned up with the ramp and door closed. And here's a demonstration of an impressive rate of climb, 35 degrees nose up. Just seeing the clouds there, the steep bank is invisible, unfortunately, to most people. What a shame. Yes, in the tanker role, they've been undertaking some interesting activity. It's now a 3-point tanker. In November 2023, the Luftwaffe received its first example with a hose drum unit to be mounted on the rear loading ramp, adding to the 2 underwing pods that can be fitted underneath the wings. And this February, a Luftwaffe A400M carried out its first air refueling of some RIAT Typhoons engaged in Operation Trader in the Middle East. Now, the big advantage with the underwing pods is that you can air-to-air refuel 2 aircraft at the same time, but minimising the exposure and the danger to formation, particularly if you're close to or in a hostile environment. And of course, turboprop tanker platforms such as this, the aircraft like the KC-130 Hercules, also capable of refueling helicopters if necessary. Yeah, absolutely. And from a fast jet perspective, they are the favoured option because the baskets are incredibly stable. The only downside is it takes the refueler to the top end of its speed regime and the receiver to the bottom end of its speed regime. Now, how about this for a landing approach? Setting the aircraft up in a steep descent, and we'll see a full stop landing aided by the powerful automatic brake. CP400 engines into reverse pitch, showing the aircraft's ability to reverse, and saying there should be 4 of you in the crowd, the crew of the German Air Force Airbus A400M, captained by Lieutenant Colonel Gunnar Trapp, and with co-pilot Captain Felix Johansson.
Sorry.